Guys, look.
What is happening? We're still together.
Still together. It's still the evolutionary after times. We're both in floral.
I know. We didn't even plan it.
No.
We just rocked up in floral.
We never plan our outfits except when we're about to get photo shoots, which is what's happening this afternoon.
So exciting.
So after we chat to you guys, we're going to head up a little bit the road to the incredible Robin Graham. Her studio is in Doylestown.
So
and
exciting.
we can't wait to get non-selfie shots of us.
I know. If any of you guys have seen any of the promo photos we've done over the last couple of months with Dr. Kristen for her podcasts and articles and stuff, those are the photos that Robin took, and they are stunning.
They're fire.
So we're super excited. We have lots of our little gadgets and dolls and stuff. Oh, we could have brought them today and been like, look
at it. Well, no, even better. You'll like tune into Instagram.
Oh,
and
actually promote our business.
We're learning. So good morning, everybody, whoever is with us. As always, we want to know where you're coming from and what's going on. We only have one brief empathy exercise today. A reminder that we open all of these lives with empathy exercises, and we'd love to get some from you. If you know about something happening in your part of the world that is teaching and demonstrating or even something that has demonstrated a complete lack of empathy, we'd love to know that. So our one thing today is the idea of that we're going to get into the idea of how to apologize. Good morning, darling Jay.
Hi, Jay. Good morning.
Good morning to Canada.
Hello, Canada.
Before we get into the idea of apologizing, we want to shout out a company that I've been hearing about for a while on the Instagrams, but I hadn't visited the website until last night. It is called Snag Tights. And I will be linking them in the show notes. They are, you may have seen them around your stuff. They're very famous for like brightly colored opaque tights. And which I do love a brightly colored opaque tight. So,
rocks them.
But I was looking for shorts to wear under dresses because the chub rub is real. And I love wearing dresses, and I don't love being grumpy because my thighs aren't like irritated. So I was Googling around, and I usually get Thigh Society, but they're out of the one that I need. So I was like, who else could I get? So I go to Snag Tight, and I want to tell you this. It's the most inclusive, now all presenting female, but still the most inclusive range of presenting female folks I've seen in a little while in terms of body size and body type. So there was folks in wheelchairs. There was folks in folks of all body sizes. There was not a range of ethnicities and not a range of visible religion. But even the fact that there was a woman in a wheelchair modeling on a website is something we wanted to shout out. Growth needed, but fat ladies, skinny ladies, ladies who fall in the spectrum of that, and a lady in a wheelchair. Plus, they look like rad tights. So I did order the shorts. I'll report back if from a consumer perspective, you should also get them. But we wanted to give them a little shout out for attempts at honestly, better attempts at inclusivity than most of the stores I shop at.
Than most places. Yeah. Work to be done. But you know what? A+ for effort and recognizing that at least women have different body shapes.
And credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
As we ask folks to continue to grow.
Correct. What an empathy exercise. Yes.
All right, folks, let's talk about apologies.
Let's talk about these.
There are a lot of ways to apologize for being called. We're going to specifically talk about apologies for being called out for past behavior.
Yeah.
There are lots of ways to handle this. If you joined us earlier this year on one of our lives about James Charles, how he handled it was poor. David Dobrik handled it poorly. Kanye continually handles it poorly whenever he's asked to apologize.
Yeah, it's just not. Kanye's just, it's not a skill he has.
But the thing is, all of us are past versions of ourselves that are going to be called out for something, whether we are a Grammy award-winning celebrity or just us. Somebody's going to find a post we made. Somebody's going to remember a comment or a joke we made. And so because we're all creatures who continually need to grow, this is going to be a thing that we need to be good at. Mm-hmm. We talk about normalizing changing our minds, getting very used to saying I was wrong. And those are elements of a good apology. So we want to highlight Ellie Kemper, who was an actress on The Office and the show Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, who is from Kansas City.
Missouri.
Missouri.
Kansas City, Missouri?
And
St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, no, I just read it this morning.
Okay.
Yes. She is from St. Louis, Missouri.
And back in the day, which I'm sure was a Wednesday.
In 1999, she was a freshman at Princeton University. She was crowned the Queen of Love and Beauty at the Veiled Prophet Ball, a St. Louis, Missouri institution founded by I'm reading directly from the Vulture, y'all. Founded by 2 former Confederate officers who started the organization in 1878 as a method for maintaining class control, according to historians. The ball was aimed at reassuring the city's elite of their exclusive status. So,
yikes on trikes.
Yikes on trikes. It came out at the beginning of June that she was crowned this queen. People started sharing stories and Atlantic articles and all sorts of stuff. And she got herself in some pretty hot water for being involved in said organization.
Yeah. And like, it's not great. It's not great.
It's not a great look.
Couple things that then her apology, which we'll link in length, which was a whole lot of screenshots on Instagram, which important to me was not written in a notes app on your phone. I hate notes app apologies. I hate them. I think they scream is that I wrote this in the toilet, like while I was in another conversation.
I just feel like nothing I ever do that's serious and or final, I do in a notes app.
Yeah, she at least copy pasted it into Canva and made a graphic out of it. So there was at least 2 more steps here, which I really apologize. So It opens. I'm reading directly from Ellie Kemper's statement. I unequivocally deplore, denounce, and reject white supremacy.
Boom.
Open. Great. No equivocation. No,
and I think one of the things that's so important is she didn't start her apology with justifying herself.
Correct. She opened with saying a strong statement about what was going on.
About her feelings. That wasn't, I understand people are upset with me or I want to address, she opened it without, she did center herself, but
it's an apology and there's elements of that where that's okay.
Yeah, but it wasn't about trying to explain her behavior.
No.
And so to center it around the idea of white supremacy was really, really important. And to start with that rather than an immediate justification. I don't even think she gets to a justification.
No. Second statement.
Yeah.
At the same time, I acknowledge that because of my race and privilege, I am the beneficiary of a system that has dispensed unequal justice and unequal rewards. Very true. This is true for everybody who is
all the time.
All the time.
Who's a member of a privileged group.
Who has privilege.
When you are in a privileged instance.
It goes on to say, and this is honestly like when I got to this paragraph, I was just like, well, I now stand Ellie Kemper forever.
Yeah.
This is a very natural temptation when you become the subject of internet criticism to tell yourself that your detractors are all wrong. But at some point last week, I realized that a lot of the forces behind the criticisms were forces I had spent my life supporting and agreeing with. And now this is a key difference between apologizing for a behavior that deserves an apology because you were wrong and trolls being jerks.
Right.
So this is an issue. She sat back. She said, actually, this is a problem.
Yeah.
So we're going to go on because I'm going to scroll down here. Nope, I did that. I can't use okay. We do different things on our computers. Okay.
How can I help you?
Let me read this.
Yeah.
Hi guys. When I was 19 years old, I decided to participate in a debutante ball in my hometown. The century-old organization that hosted the debutante ball had an unquestionably racist, sexist, and elitist past. I was not aware of the history at the time, but ignorance is no excuse. I was old enough to have educated myself before getting involved. And then I unequivocally implore the statement that she already made. And then I believe strongly in the values of kindness, integrity, and inclusiveness. I try to live my life in accordance to these values. If my experience is an indication that organizations and institutions with pasts that fall short of these beliefs should be held to account, then I have to see this experience in a positive light. I want to apologize to the people I've disappointed, and I promise that moving forward, I will listen, continue to educate myself, and use my privilege in support of the better society I think we're capable of becoming. Okay, some people have come out and said she never says she was wrong. I think she did, but fine. We can grow.
Explicitly use those words, I guess.
But the thing I really like is her point that she says, I could have known better and chose not to.
Like ignorance is no excuse.
Because she could have done some research. She could have asked. It doesn't sound like this was a secret in St. Louis.
And like 1999 was before really like.
I mean, it was before the Google in everyone's house, but it was not before librarians.
Yeah, I was about to say like she could have microfiched this.
Yeah, this wasn't before newspapers.
Yeah.
Or college professors.
And she recognizes that, right? Because that would have been another easy thing to say, like, oh, I didn't know any better and my family didn't have a computer. Like, as in a way to excuse that she didn't know.
So tips for people of privilege, i.e., from our perspective, everybody about something.
Yes. At
so
some point.
Everybody about something is privileged in some way, and you're going to get called out. We're actually going to be talking on the live in a couple weeks about words we don't use anymore.
Yeah.
And by the way, all of us use them all the time at some point in our lives, because we're not talking about stuff that like went out of fashion in the 70s. We're talking about like the term spirit animal, which I definitely used liberally in grad school.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about how, as we know more, we do more. As we know better, we do better. But we wanted to start first with Ellie Kemper's apology, because of this concept of just flat out saying, I could have done the work and I didn't. I could have done the work and I didn't. You're right to call me out because I could have known.
Yeah. And it's this idea that we are normalizing, not only changing our minds, but normalizing apologizing and normalizing growth. And one of the things we talk about a lot on this channel when we talk about the idea of systemic racism, and I think our first GDD live was why everybody is a little bit racist.
Yeah.
The fear, particularly with racism, but a lot of isms that comes with it, is that it's a moral judgment. And so people immediately get defensive and say, well, I'm not racist. And they stop the conversation. They stop the opportunity to listen and to learn and to grow. And so what we're trying to do through these conversations that we have with each other and with you guys and the work that we do is normalize all of these processes so we can get in the habit of saying, you know what, I was wrong about this. And it could be something really small and it could be something really big. But if we get to a place where we build and establish the pattern of doing it, then, hey, I think that phrase is a little bit racist. When you get a comment like that, we don't say spirit animal anymore. If you build that practice, you don't go to defensiveness. You go to curiosity and you go, oh, we don't?
Why?
I wasn't aware of that. Can you tell me more about that? Can you give me some resources so that I can learn? And, we can get into a separate conversation about emotional labor for marginalized groups at another time. But, in the context of a conversation, do you have a link for that? And that, I think, is what she is embodying with the language that she used, that she's very careful about.
Which obviously went through a PR agency and or a lawyer. But it doesn't
read like it, which is something that I was really impressed with too. It sounds authentic. I don't know Ellie Kemper from, a hole in the wall, but it sounds authentic. And a lot of apologies that we can get that have to be vetted through PR agencies because these people are public properties, sound like it. Sound like the PR person, like, oh, you should use this word instead of this word. She's clearly, I believe, believes what she's saying and means it, which is, probably step one of the apology checklist is mean it.
Yeah. And I don't love the, I apologize to people I disappointed. That phrase I don't love, I'll admit. If I was her friend, I'd be like, no, you just say, I'm sorry, I fucked up. I'm sorry I did this. Yeah. I'm sorry I didn't do the work ahead of time.
Yeah.
So I don't love, because I hate the word, because disappointed is a little bit of for bad apologies.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you feel blah, 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 blah is not an apology. You need to own your own actions. I'm sorry that I did that. Now I should say, let me take that back, because women apologize too much for things that we don't need to. So in terms of when you have been called out, and somebody says, hey, that phrase we don't use anymore. That attitude is wrong. Your hiring practices are a little discriminatory. And you can sit back and you can get really defensive immediately and then sit back and go, okay, they weren't intentionally, but they still were. So what do we do about it? Ellie Kemper was not intentionally racist, but she still was. So what do we do about it? And we take too much time, I think, wanting forgiveness based on intention, instead of just saying, oh, shit, not a good look. let me fix it. So in that case, it's like, oh, I'm really sorry I didn't do the work. I'm really sorry I didn't know before. I'm really sorry that I hurt you. I'm sorry that this choice I made hurt you.
And I think too, it's so hard in the social media-ness of it all, that and the cancel culture of what we are in right now, where you can find receipts on something somebody said. Now the internet is written in ink, and you can call them out on it when you want to, and something gets trending, and people don't, Twitter and Instagram and Reddit are not usually places for nuance.
Very rarely.
And calm discussions of things. There's a difference between holding people accountable for horrible actions, i.e. Harvey Weinstein, and canceling Ellie Kemper because of the decision that she made. And it's particularly hard, I can imagine, to navigate the world of apologizing when everything is this immediate and people jump on the canceling bandwagon very quickly without a lot of empathy. So that's one of the things that we're trying to have in this conversation, is like, if we're grounding ourselves in empathy, we can't make snap decisions about anyone's intentions or actions or interest. And it's always our responsibility to dig as deep as we can to learn whether somebody is on a horrible spectrum of things, Ellie Kemper or Harvey Weinstein, or somewhere in between, So I think we can hold people accountable for what they say and do, especially if they did it consistently. And
the pattern stuff is a thing for me. James Charles consistently went after underage boys on his social media.
Yeah.
It wasn't a one-off situation.
It wasn't a confusion. Oh, I transposed the numbers in your age.
Oh no. Harvey Weinstein had a bit of a pattern.
Slightly.
So did Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
And so there's elements in, like, this is bleeding into a discussion about call out culture versus call in culture, which is language I like a lot better, that Black women especially are using on the internet. Let me just call that out, that it didn't come from me, didn't come from white ladies, came from Black women that are saying we need a call in culture to accountability. Nice. Like, come back home. Let's have a hard conversation.
Sounds like a GDD, maybe next month.
But it definitely is, that idea intrigues me a lot more, because I love the idea of allowing people to grow.
Yeah. And I think cancel culture, like the phrase cancel culture, is limiting. It doesn't give us that room, because, like, we've saved a couple shows from being canceled, but not a lot. Usually when you're canceled, like, you are done. Yeah. And so that is a limiting and arresting. It stops the process that you can have a conversation about it, because no, I canceled you. This is the end of the conversation. So we are always looking for new phrases and language to have better conversations about these kinds of things.
And you can also decide that Ellie Kemper's apology was not enough for you, and you cannot engage with her art anymore or her work.
Totally.
You can decide that if you call us out for something, that you don't like how we took accountability for it, and you can walk away from us. That is part of living in empathy and not living in tolerance. Living in tolerance just kind of is an automatic cancel. Living in tolerance is an automatic end of relationship. Living in empathy is a understanding that the work usually needs to happen. Now, like, Ellie Kemper's a cheap thing, because, like, very few of us know her personally. She was a funny actress on The Office and on a show that very few people watched, but we did. And Titus Burgess, who was her co-star on Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, which has one of the greatest theme songs of all time, to be honest, was very clear, like, after her apology, he came out. He is a Black man who also happens to be gay, and said, like, y'all, I could have told you, like, Ellie's one of us, like, Ellie's okay.
Yeah.
But then that brought up some stuff too, where some other Black people were like, just because she was okay to you doesn't mean she's okay to the system. So, like, it's all messy. Our whole point in this is that it's all messy. And Lin-Manuel Miranda had to give an apology very recently about the casting and colorism in the Heights. And for some people, it shouldn't have even had to happen. Like, you see the internet, they're like, this isn't a really big deal. You see other people that are like, this is the biggest deal ever, and I'm never engaging with his work all the time. And there's a lot of people in the middle all the time. And I liked Lynn saying, like, we should have known. We should have thought about it, and we didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, like, that was a screw up. And that I think a lot of it is that we need to move away from there's no way I could have known. You're holding me accountable for something I couldn't have known, which very rarely is true, to be honest.
Especially at this stage where everything is one Google click away, really.
Yeah, like pretty much from 2014 on, you could have known.
Yeah.
In your pocket.
Yeah. We carry these computers in our pockets now.
Yeah, but like from the inventing of the printing press onwards.
It was a lot more work to do the microfiche.
You could have.
But I used to do that research, so it's possible.
This is why everyone needs to befriend librarians and other sundry nerds. Yes. We will do the work for you.
Librarians, historians,
social scientists.
Social scientists. We like to find answers.
Hyperactive readers.
All of the above.
Yeah.
Have one of those friends in your pockets.
You have two.
You've got us. We've got a bunch of librarians in our pockets.
Yeah. We love librarians.
Yes.
So that's us for today. Yeah. If you guys have any questions about other apologies, you want us to diagnose other apologies, or talk more about how it is potentially personal to you and how you've handled apologies, or what that looks like, or how it looks like on a personal scale, we would love to talk to you about that. We can either address personal apologies here publicly, or we can schedule a time to kind of talk it out, because we think this is really, really important stuff.
Good stuff.
Big stuff. We are going to scamper now.
We are. Next week, we will be talking about the top things cisgendered, heterosexual people need to know about Pride, as two of those humans who love a lot of humans that are
not those
things. We're going to wrap up Pride Month with having a conversation about that. So if you've got something to add to that you would like us to discuss and or mention, hit us up in the comments. Replay crew, we love you. We see you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.